everybody. Welcome to the show. It seems I'm going to be doing these a little bit more frequently than usual, because of current events, which is better for you, the listeners, because that means you get to hear me talk to way more interesting people way more often. Speaking of interesting people, today I have a special guest. She is a D&D animator and artist on YouTube, DeviantArt, Instagram, and Twitter. She is probably one of the most talented artists I've seen in a long time.
Oh.
Please give it up for MadiCarl.
Hello.
How are you doing
So much.
today?
I'm doing great. Coronavirus is crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
that is
kind
the
of
thing.
self-quarantined right now.
Same. I've been kind of going. I didn't think I could go stir crazy because I usually spend all of my spare time indoors anyway. But when you're not like going out to do like either work or school or whatever, and you
Yeah,
have to stay in,
I've I've been getting by on Stardew Valley. I finally bought it.
nice. I love Stardew
Yeah,
Valley.
I've really been liking it.
Speaking of, let's jump right into the first question I have for you. So,
Mm.
it says here in my notes that you are, let's see, a gamer. Some of which, you've also posted on your channel, like Minecraft videos. So I want to know, like, what are your favorite games and why?
Um, so here's the thing. I do like video games. I play them pretty fairly often, but I'm not good at them. um, so I can't play games like Bloodborne. Uh, I tried playing Cuphead. I got about halfway through and I couldn't finish it. So I can't play the hard ones, but you know, I like Minecraft. Now I really like Stardew Valley. I like Undertale a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
those are all really
let's
good.
see. I love Borderlands so much.
Ah,
I think Borderlands might be one of my favorite games
I've
ever.
got Borderlands 2, and I like started playing it and I couldn't get into it.
Really?
Yeah, and not that I didn't.
I think it's the humor that got me.
Yeah, it did seem humorous. I think someone just tried to like rush me into Borderlands 2 without playing the first one or knowing the context of what any of it was, and they wanted to do like multiplayer and stuff. So I felt like they were trying to get me to play it just to play with them and not to play the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I couldn't really get a good grasp of what it was supposed to be about. I guess I need to give it another chance now with the quarantine. You know, who knows?
Yeah, go ahead. It's a good time
Um,
to do it.
yeah. In fact, I'm sure you've heard of a game that came out recently that people won't shut up about, called Animal Crossing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I Animal Crossing is one of those games that it stressed me out slightly. So weirdly enough, it stressed me out, and I forget about things pretty easily. So I would like play it one day, forget about it for like a week, and then go back to it, and then feel terrible because everything went everything went to shit. So because like you have to keep it up like
Yeah.
day to day. So I don't
Right.
know if I'm gonna play the new game.
You might want to give it a shot because it's so much more than any other Animal Crossing game was.
You've played it?
Oh, have I played it? I have been playing it. Listen, my dear listeners who are waiting faithfully for episode 3 to come out, I'm so sorry that this has happened to me. This game has just happened to my life, and it is choking up all of my free time
That
because
is
it's
that is me with Stardew Valley right now.
yes, and I will say the same for Stardew. When I first started playing it, my God, these like so here's the thing. Here's why Animal Crossing New Horizons is really good compared to like other Animal Crossing games. In other games, it felt like it was half a game. Felt like it,
Hmm.
it gave you a bunch of features, but once you get past some of the features, there wasn't so much to do. It's kind of boring. Like, I don't know. I felt bored. I felt like there wasn't a lot to do. And like, I played the originals like City Folk and then the GameCube original and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they didn't really feel very expansive. And again, it's a long form game, so you have to wait each day to do new things. That's still very true with the new one. However, the new one has expanded what you can do so much that it is like it's way more full of a game. Like there's so much to do, and you don't. And the way that they have it is like they don't punish you anymore for like
Oh,
taking your
nice.
time. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's so wonderful. That's the main issue I had with it.
Yeah, like the
It's
whole
like
like
it kind
weeds
of had
thing.
this like facade that you could take your time, and it was like, yeah, Animal Crossing, it's a peaceful game and you can just do it at your own pace. But then you get into it and you're like, oh, you can't do that. Like they punish you if you kind of take your time with stuff.
Yeah, in this one it's like you are rewarded for playing every day, for sure. They want to encourage you to like play a lot, but they don't like from what I understand, there's not really much of a penalty other than weeds grow, but weeds are now a resource you can collect, so that's not a bad thing anymore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you could like use them in crafting and stuff. Like there's a whole crafting element and resource collection element that didn't exist in the originals that you get in this one, which is phenomenal.
That's
Um,
so lovely. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, and that oh my god.
I might
And
give it a try then.
you
I might play it.
should. The best part I think is
But
you
after
start
I finish Stardew Valley, because I can't have two of those
Yes,
going on at the
yes,
same
please
time.
be responsible. But
That'll ruin me.
yeah, but I know Dieter has Animal
Mm,
Crossing. He visited my
yeah.
town yesterday, which was really cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like you can all right, so I could gush about it forever. I'm gonna try not to. I'll just keep it
Okay.
to like two two little selling points here. The thing I really like about this game, the two things I really like, you get an island to yourself with just you, like the main guy, Tom Nook, and his like two nephews, and then like two villagers, and that's it. It's like the wilderness, and you
Oh,
build it up
lovely.
from scratch. So
Yes.
everybody that moves to the town because of the things that you did.
Aw.
So like the more you work on it, the more you do stuff. If you just kind of keep talking to Nook and figure out what you need to do next, his like he'll bring in new characters from the games, like from the old games and stuff, and that'll be like the first time you're meeting them, and then you can kind of like convince them to stay and stuff like that. It's very fun because you basically are a pioneer. You're like making this town from scratch. You design where everybody gets to live. Like you pick where they live. You
Oh, yes, they changed that?
yeah, yeah. You
Yes.
pick where you live. You pick where they live.
Great. That's so good.
You pick where the museum is. You pick where all the stores are. Like you have total control like you never had before. Um,
I
and
know, like, that was one of the main problems people had with it was that people would just like, they were like, I'm going to move into your town, but I'm going to put my house in the middle of this path.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so this is, oh, man. So that's one thing. And the other thing is just the already the selling point of Animal Crossing stuff that was already good. The music and the like aesthetics are so beautiful.
Yeah, they look really pretty. Like, they really stepped up their game with the graphics.
I can guarantee you will not be nearly as stressed out as you might have been before because of the lack of the punishment elements and then the just overabundance of calming or relaxing fun elements.
Nice. You might have convinced me to go buy it, actually.
Please let this be an audio record of me convincing you to buy it because it's so good.
You might have converted me.
I'm glad. All right, cool. With that out of the way,
Yeah. With that closure.
I'm glad I could convert one person though, for real. And it's also right now is a good time to play too because a lot of people are playing it. So like you can visit
Yeah.
towns and stuff like that as people are playing in real time, and that's really fun. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. Your signature phrase seems to be just a dork with a pen, and that's very
Mhm.
endearing. But I'd
Oh,
like
thanks.
I'd like you to expand upon the pen portion and explain to me what kind of art that you make.
What kind of art I make?
Like I know what kind of art you make, but I want to like like in detail, like what kind of artist are you?
Well, I am a character artist. I primarily work in digital in the digital medium, um, specifically in like a cartoonish kind of way. But I have dabbled in like traditional. I'm not very good at it, but I've tried. I'm currently trying to learn how to paint with gouache, which is something I'm figuring out. Not many people know what that is. um, and but yeah, no. Primarily, I'm a character artist, an animator, and I work in Krita, which is a digital painting software. Very good, by the way. Um, if you're looking for like a cheap, I know a lot of people are always looking for cheap alternatives to like Photoshop. Krita is probably the best one you're gonna get.
Nice. Actually, I
Yeah,
might have to take a note of that.
nice.
Krita.
It's totally free. It's very good. It's a bit of a learning curve though.
Yeah, a lot of those programs I think tend to be just because of the nature of all the tools and things like that.
Yeah.
Are you going to
Um,
college right now for art?
I am going to college in the fall, and I'm going to be majoring in digital art and minor in computer engineering.
Ooh,
Yeah, I want to learn how to make games
nice.
and
Uh,
like do the technical stuff because that makes me more hireable for like animation studios.
that's very true. I think I read somewhere that you wanted to be an artist for Pixar. Is that still true?
Yes, that is like I have like two end goals, and like I'm fine with either of them as like my end goal dream job. But one of them is to be like an animator or a storyboard artist at Pixar.
That
And the
would
other
be.
one is to have my own animation studio, but that's a whole other
Ooh,
ballpark.
yeah. Yeah, that sounds really fun. I've always
Yeah, I'm
wondered
excited.
how it would be to work in like the industry, you could say, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the standards are very high, so it'll take a lot of effort on your part, but I think
Yeah,
you've got a leg up. Like I feel like your art has improved even during the time that I've watched your channel.
really.
Yeah, so I think that it's going to you're gonna continue to improve at a pretty good pace. I think as long as you keep at it.
Well, thank you very much. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
no problem. Let's see. What's next for your channel this year? Like, what are your goals?
So here's the thing. I'm gonna be going to college, right? And I can't exactly take my channel with me in the same capacity that I could before that because I've always said like once I get to college, I'm taking it very seriously because I want to do well in college.
Hmm.
Um, and like right now, I can devote as much time as I want just because like I don't the classes I'm in right now, I don't really have to try that hard just because they're pretty easy. So I have like once I get out of school, I have like all the time in the world to do whatever. But I won't have that in college. So my goal is to get all of the ideas I want to do out of the way before I start college, and then after that, it's like um, kind of I want it to be like a bit more structured than what it is now. But I have an idea. I have like my main like Dungeons and Dragons story time like thing that I'm doing right now, right?
Yeah.
So I want to finish that. I have two more episodes planned. And I want this is really ambitious, but I want the last episode to be fully animated. Like no narration from me, just the characters,
Ooh.
because I love them a lot. um, and I actually have some of the voice acting for that already. Not nearly all of it, but a lot of it. And then I have a couple of ideas for like fully animated skits. Some of them D&D related, some of them not, but I definitely want to do them. I think they'd be really fun. But
Okay.
yeah, I have a couple more D&D storytime videos planned out like in my head that I think people are gonna like because I think they're really a lot more funny than the series I'm doing right now.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm looking forward to that stuff, especially if you're gonna really do like a fully animated like that seems like it's gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what, and I want to get as many people to help me as I can. Like I already have somebody right now who helps me with like coloring and in betweens and stuff. But I want to try to get a couple more people to help me out, specifically with that video, because I just want it to be like as good as it possibly can be. Um,
Yeah.
I
And
don't
then
have a budget, so like I'm not expecting it to be like Disney quality or even like super good.
all right.
But I
Well, it'll
think
be
you can get like I think I can get like pretty good with the resources I have right now and the people I have who can
I've
help
seen what
me.
you've done in like little clips of animation and stuff. So I have no doubt in my mind that you can make it like pretty good. Like at least I mean literally it'd be like student film good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's
thank you.
absolutely within your power to do it. It might just take a little while. And if you've got other people helping you
Yeah.
though, that'll make it not take so long.
It's gonna take a lot of like budgeting out my time carefully.
Well, if you ever need a voice for Baxter, you know where to go.
Oh, of course. I still have that. Still have it in the back of my mind. I'm waiting to get this episode down and then we're totally doing that still.
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited.
For people listening, I actually applied to be the voice of Baxter for her videos. Like,
And you did wonderfully.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Baxter.
I appreciate it.
I love him.
Thank you. We can always like too if that's not if like it's not exactly what you need, I'm always willing to workshop it with you. And I can't wait
Nice.
to I'm looking forward to working with you on it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really sad it's taken this long, but a lot of stuff's been getting in the way of me getting to work on it. But I will be putting it out there soon, so it is still happening.
Maybe don't buy Animal Crossing until you've gotten quite a bit a ways in on that, like,
Yeah.
because, yeah, oof. Video game addiction is not something I've had to deal with since I was, like, much younger.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah. And that's it for my questions about, just, like, background questions about who you are. So, now we got a bit of a more freeform format.
All right.
Hear you like D&D.
I love D&D.
Cool. Let's talk about it.
All right. Yeah, anything specific you want to talk about, or?
I was trying to see if like you want to take in a direction. How about are you in any campaigns right now?
Technically, yes. I am DMing a campaign with a couple of my friends. But we haven't had a session in a while. And just because I'm kind of burnt out and I don't really I kind of want to be a player right now instead of a DM, but the campaign is still going. It's just we're not actively doing it right now.
Yeah, we should talk about burnout a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I feel like
that's definitely a prominent subject in my life right now.
Yeah. Cuz personally I feel like stuff online that talks about Dungeons and Dragons, especially like official Dungeons and Dragons media, none of them really talk about burnout that much. Most of them talk about, cool features of the game, and this class can do this spell and blah blah blah, and it's like those are really great, especially like mechanical stuff. I'm kind of a nerd for that. And then like when you go on into the community, a lot of people talk about the role-playing aspects, and those are really fun too. And it's like these are all great perks of Dungeons and Dragons, but people can get tired of like playing a character or DMing all the time, or
Yeah.
Burnout does happen.
Especially when you're like me and you insist on having 12 NPCs at any given moment.
Oh man, NPC overload? That's another thing too. You got to be careful with that, cuz like
I'm very bad at that.
You I think as a player, I suppose it depends.
To be fair, the players I'm with, I'm going to send them this whenever it comes out, and I'm calling them out right now because they have a habit of taking NPCs with them in their party.
So it's their fault.
Not nearly all the time, but like I can give you an example. I could go on forever about this character, but I'll make it like short and quick. So she's half human, half goblin, and her name is Freak, and I love her very much. And she was meant to be an NPC that would be like a very minor villain for like a quick little dungeon they were going through. And she wasn't even supposed to speak English, or common, I guess. And then one of them was like, "Hi, I'm Kai. How's it going?" And I was like, I guess she speaks. So and I like made her be able to talk. And then Kai fell in love with her, and she became like his little sister. And then he was just like, "Yeah, come with us. We'll adventure together." And I was like, she has like almost no character. She was meant to be a little like a punching bag for a single dungeon. And now she's one of the best characters we've ever had in our party.
Nice. You accidentally made an adorable thing that nobody wanted to kill.
Exactly. It's that happened like the better part of a year ago, and we still talk about Kai and Freak.
I'm glad, like, so I guess for me, in my experience with the people I play with, the trouble is getting people to actually care about NPCs. Like,
Yeah.
They just like don't give like I could write the most interesting NPC and they won't care about it at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling to get them to care. Like if it's especially if it's a quest giver, they could care less or couldn't care less. They could just they'll walk off like, I want to go over here. I want to do this. And it's like, but the quest.
Yeah.
Um,
There's always in any group I'm with. I have about like 2 or 3 groups that I like either do like one shots with or whatever. And in every group, there's always just one person that falls in love with characters, but nobody else cares.
I did have a group that, well, I wouldn't call it fall in love, but they decided to take a throwaway villain character with them as like their indentured servant.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it was pretty awful. It was like this guy. So it was like a 2-shot that I ran, and these characters, they're pretty strong. They're all like level 10 or 12 or something like that. And there's this empire that's like in league with hell. It's like this hell empire, and the king of the empire is like this tiefling. Yeah, of course. And so they have expanded their reign over all these other kingdoms, so these adventurers find themselves contacted by some mysterious person in this bar. And the bar is like right on the outskirts of the edge of this empire. And the contact is like the brother, another tiefling of like the emperor, and he's like lost his arm or whatever. So he looks really dangerous, but he's also like crippled, so he's obviously not trying to like hurt them. And so, because I knew the psyche of this party would try to kill him if he had both of his arms, so I had to get rid of an arm to make them not kill him and take pity on him.
Oh.
And I was right. Their first call was to try and like browbeat him, but he was just like, I called you here, actually. But that's not the character we need to talk about. We need to talk about the dude that walked in the bar with his posse of soldiers, Captain Felglow. He's like blonde-haired,
cool
shiny armor. He's kind of in his 30s and has like these dark circles under his eyes to show that he's kind of evil. Not that he doesn't get enough sleep, but just that he's kind of a douche. And he's a douche, and he starts like talking shit about the wait staff and all this other stuff, just being obnoxious. Like he's not actually opposing the party in any way.
He's just being a nuisance.
Right. And the party, one of them, I think I remember what happened. He's just like, hey, I want to get everybody together because I can take an image of them. Basically, he like told them it was this bard or somebody, and he was like, I want to, if you all get together, I could actually have your picture taken through magic. And they're like, oh, cool. So everybody gets in a group.
Oh no.
And they cast Thunderwave and bam, hits all of them. And he takes out like half the soldiers, and they mop up everybody else. And the only one who's left alive, who's like running for his life, is Captain Felglow. And the monk is like this Oni who just charges after him. And he's a monk, so he like catches up and grabs him, wrestles him to the ground, and basically binds him by his hands and feet, and then carries him around like a briefcase. And that's what they started calling him for the rest of the game, was briefcase.
Briefcase.
So,
I love that.
So whenever I would
good.
whenever I'd say Captain Felglow, they'd be like, who? Like literally, they forgot. They weren't even being cute about it. They just forgot his real name.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and he...
One time... Oh, sorry.
Oh, never mind. I was just going to say, like, they went all the way to the end of the adventure, bringing him along, basically using him as a human shield and, like, a distraction.
Oh, no.
And then, like, sometimes they take his bindings off and say, if you don't want to die from them, you're going to fight with us. And he's just like, I hate you. I hate all of you. His, like, teeth have been knocked out. This poor guy.
Dude.
And then by the end...
really funny.
When they get to the end, he became, like... He tried to get away one last time. He's like, I guess our business here is concluded. And the monk grabbed him by the arm and goes, no, you're coming with me. You're going to stay with me. And he's like, no, please. All right, then that's the end of Captain Felglow. I had to roleplay all of that.
I love that. That's so good.
What a time.
Oh wow. You reminded me of a much funnier story than this one, but this is very quick, so I'll just mention it like a side note.
Go for it.
There was a villain. He was a horrible dude. Um, and if my group is listening to this, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about. His name is Che. Um, and he was terrible. He was like trying to kill off all the members of this family of this like person who was in our party,
Ooh.
but they weren't there with us. We didn't know where they were, and so we were terrified that this guy had already gotten to him. So, and we were this is a child who we were all like love and protect him, and we all of us, as soon as he mentioned this kid's family in any negative way, we were already like up in arms.
Oh man.
uh but anyway, so that's not the point. My point is that his name was Che, but we couldn't remember that for some reason, so we just called him a different word that started with the letter C every time we referred to him. Like I think we went through candlestick, chair, chafe, chapstick.
I like that too. That's really funny to like purposefully get someone's name wrong every time.
Like we couldn't remember the real name. We're like, oh well, might as well. If we can't go in that direction, might as well go entirely off the road into the other direction.
Yeah, there's some perverse joy in like bullying bad NPCs. I don't know what it is, but it just feels good. Maybe
Man.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So you know Baxter, right? The character that
Yeah.
you're eventually gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember how he has a daughter?
Yes.
Yeah, Lucy. So the first time I ever played Lucy, no, the second time I played Lucy, um, we were playing through, I forgot which one it was. We were playing one of the modules, the one that everybody says is bad. And
is it the Dragon Queen one or?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay,
Port of the Dragon Queen. We didn't know that. We just picked one and played it. We didn't get more than one session through, but
Oof.
Yeah, we just kind of disbanded. No one ever had time to like play another session, so we just kind of stopped.
I thought it was like a testament to how bad the module was.
No, we just didn't play again.
Fair enough.
I didn't particularly love it just because I'm not a huge fan of the fighting. Like I do like the fighting and the mechanics. It's just I don't like it as much as the like story and roleplay aspects. And the entire beginning of that module is nothing but fighting with almost no character interaction. So for like 4 hours, it was just stuff that I was just not the most interested in. Like I was having fun at first, and then I was like, okay, more kobolds? Oh, okay. But anyway, so it was Lucy and Devi. And the characters, her name is Devi, and she's a demigoddess. She's super overpowered when it comes to charisma. But they were like walking through, they had like finally gotten through all of the enemies, and they got to the like I think castle or some kind of guild area, which was turned into like a medic area, like a medic tent kind of. And they were like walking through trying to see if they could help anybody. And then I forgot how it worked. I forgot what happened after that. It was a while ago. But somehow we had made our way into finding some cultists, and I figured out that I had a disguise kit somehow. Don't know why. But I had a disguise kit, and I was like, let's pretend to be cultists and follow them. Somehow that worked. And so we both managed to, I think Lucy escaped or got through by pretending she was a cranky old lady, and she like hit people with a stick until they left her alone.
Nice. That's good. I like that.
Thanks. But you reminded me of this whenever the thunder wave thing. Because at the end of it, they had like found them out. They had failed their final, like the last like persuasion check that they needed to make. And everybody was like, wait, they're not cultists. And we're just like, crap, what do we do? So I pushed the girl with me out of the way, like through a door. And I honestly don't know how. I think I might have built her wrong for this campaign because she had way too many spells. She had fireball. And this small child, like 11 years old.
Wait, what class was she?
A warlock.
Yeah, maybe she did have too many. You're only supposed to have like 2 slots, right?
No, but the thing was, I specifically built it to where like either she didn't have to expend spell slots or it was all like cantrips. I don't
Oh.
remember how I did it. It made sense in my mind, but I might have done it wrong because this is back when I wasn't super great at D&D.
Okay.
But somehow she had fireball, and I just like all these cultists were like chasing us through this like wine cellar, and I turned around and I cast fireball like right through the like crack in the door, and then I closed it really quickly, and then you just my DM described it as like everything like there's this huge explosion, then everything goes silent, and then the lady just looks down at me like, what did what did you just do? And like this small child just like, I don't know. Just they like we open the door again and everyone is dead. I don't somehow I didn't roll for this. The DM rolled for this, but we looked and everyone was dead.
Yeah,
So
that's great. I love when there's enough like weak enemies or something to where you don't really even
mhm.
need to roll. Like DM's just like, yeah, don't even bother.
Yeah, they're all gone.
That's great. Lucy definitely seems like um one of those characters that has like a ton of power but doesn't know how to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lucy is she doesn't even really know how she has little wings, but she doesn't really know how to fly. She was told she couldn't fly because they didn't want her to leave the boat she was on. So she has to like relearn how to do everything, and Baxter isn't the best teacher.
Baxter definitely seems more of just like a protective like parent, but not a very good guiding parent.
Not really. Honestly, the okay, have you ever seen Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah.
You know that one scene where she's like, "This is your badness level. It's unusually high for someone of your size," and then Stitch like rips it up.
Yeah.
That's kind of how their dynamic works.
Okay, yeah. So is she's basically the parent to him?
Yeah, kind of. She's like helping him to be a better person, but he wants to be a better person for her, but she's his only reason.
Yeah, selfishly motivated good acts. I like that.
Yeah.
We should talk
It's a
about
very interesting
we
dynamic.
should talk about evil characters.
Yes.
I
I love that topic. It's always a different adventure.
I love evil characters, like player characters, personally.
hmm
I'm playing, um, or no, I was playing. This isn't an old campaign, but I was playing a character that was evil, who like, uh, he like doesn't seem evil on the outside. This was in let's see, it was like an Eldritch horror themed thing, and like we had just started. I was playing a rogue, and but he was like a really nice guy and just kind of friendly, and this whole world was like Bloodborne. So we're in like this like it's the start of this long night where like the sun doesn't rise for like 2 weeks, so it's just night the whole time, and all these like monsters come out of hiding, and it's like a really awful time. And inside this house that we had taken refuge in, it's like kind of dilapidated, and there's like this homeless dude that was in there, that we were kind of around this fire with, and he's talking about like, I love the night, blah blah. He's like very creepy, clearly evil, and he like
hmm
starts showing off. I'm just buttering him up, like, yeah, that's really cool. And he's
Oh
like
no.
showing off these like mutations he has, where he's got like another pair of like limbs with their insectoid, and his like neck extends out of his like rib cage a bit, and
Oh no.
yeah, he's like, everyone else is freaking out and they got their hands on their weapons, but I'm just like, wow, that's really neat. You're gonna do really well tonight, I bet. And like,
Oh.
and I'm just I'm his wingman. I'm his like go-to guy. Like, wow. And he's just like, yes, survival of the fittest means only the strongest will survive. The predators will seek out the prey. And he like eventually goes outside to like, because someone was knocking on the door, like, let me in, please. He goes, there's my prey now. And he goes to attack this guy. And everybody else is about to like get in, but we all roll initiative, right? Well, I think, first initiative. So as he goes to attack the guy that was at the door, I sneak attacked him through the back with my rapier. And he like turned around surprised. And I was like, I guess I'm the predator now. And like I just like
Ooh.
there you see like I'm the actually the evil guy, and like we ended
Yes.
up killing this dude really quick. And I didn't get any really good hits after that first one, but I dropped that sort of line like, well, I guess that makes me the predator then. And
Damn.
I that was really, it was a very short campaign, but it was really fun to just play like a ruthless killer. As long, and
Mhm.
I think it works for people listening, like if you want to play evil characters, I think it works as long as you're not evil against your party. Because once it
Mhm.
becomes PvP, unless your group is already okay with that, and you've talked about it during like a session 0, you shouldn't like do that because you're just going to get people pissed off and not have fun. Um, if
Mhm.
you're gonna play an evil character,
Another.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just to
Oh,
reiterate. You gotta make sure you're keeping the group together for whatever your evil needs are.
mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because nobody's gonna have fun if everybody's like fighting each other. If you're fighting them and just making everybody aggravated.
Yeah.
Another way for like, because if you have an evil character, if they're aggressive against the party for whatever reason, I feel like you can pull it off if maybe they're hiding their evil intentions, maybe for some sort of big reveal, or like they know that they have to stay with the party to get to a certain end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you have to work with the GM or the DM on this. You can't hide that from
Mm-hmm.
everybody and just surprise, I'm gonna kill you. Like that doesn't make that's
Yeah,
not fun. That just makes you an asshole in real
yeah.
life.
You can't. I feel like you can hide it from the players. You just shouldn't hide it from the DM, so that the DM can like make sure it won't mess up the story too much.
Right. And who knows, sometimes like evil characters can learn to be like less evil over time, like with Baxter. Like it doesn't necessarily
Mm-hmm.
have to be, you don't have to, like, your end goal might be to have this evil reveal, but maybe spending a lot of time with the party and building a closer relationship with them eventually sort of like changes your outlook a little bit. Like you can have that character growth. You got to leave room for that. Or you can have it so that like maybe you're never going to betray the party. The party's your family. And you will ruthlessly kill anyone that gets in your way of protecting this family of yours, right? So you can be evil to everybody else but the party. And maybe that causes a bit of a role-playing dynamic where they're like, you need to stop being so like ruthless and shit. And you're just like, okay, sure, I'll stop. And then you just do it in secret. Like, it's more of a behavioral thing and not necessarily uh you're not doing it against the party, but your general behaviors and personality are sort of at odds with maybe the more lawful, good people that you're in contact
Yeah.
with.
There was this one character I had. I've only ever played one evil character. His name was Wolfgang, and he was lawful evil because he's not like he's not gonna go off and like murder people. Um, his evil was more just like in the way he treated other people like casually. Like if he doesn't have a strong connection with you, he doesn't like you, and he thinks that you're like below him. Um, and man, did that really show in the campaign he was in. um,
Nice.
because his we were in this thing called the Citadel, and the Citadel was this big long gauntlet of like challenges, and at the end of it was a wish spell, and
Ooh.
that was like my character's end goal. He wanted to bring his dead fiance back to life, so they could get married and like live happily ever after.
Yeah.
And this was one of the longest campaigns I've ever been a part of, and man, this was such a fun campaign because the storyline was very linear, so there was so much room to just do whatever we wanted, like role play wise. The other character, we were in teams, and my team only had two people on it. It was Wolfgang and this other character named he was a pirate, and his nickname was Captain Fluff Bucket. Um,
Very, very good. Good name.
he's he started out as a joke character, but he started to become more serious, which was really funny when we were referring to him in serious situations as Fluff Bucket.
I've seen a comic of that where like someone's like, "Hi, I'm a clown that juggles pies and I use pies as like improvised weapons and blah blah blah." And then by session 40 and it's like, "Tell the kids I love them." And you know, like I'm going to sacrifice myself for the party.
I love that. Man. But like the best example I can give of Wolfgang and like how I played him as evil, because it really didn't, his evil tendencies really didn't rear their heads often, but with Fluff Bucket they always came up because they hated each other. um Wolfgang constantly like tried to parent Fluff Bucket because he's like this overgrown man child sort of, who like drinks a lot and is sort of like very very impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
And Wolfgang's always like, no, just stop, you're gonna make a bad decision, let me do it. And eventually, and see, the thing is, Wolfgang was a scientist, and I purposefully gave him very high intelligence and wisdom, and very low strength because I anticipated him not needing to use it very often. I was going to rely on, he was a wizard essentially, I was going to rely a lot more on magic. But the thing was, the dice were not in my favor, and I constantly rolled very, very low on intelligence and wisdom checks. So even with his bonus, I don't think he ever got more than like an 11 or 12.
Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah, it was really funny actually. It sucked at first, but it became a joke eventually.
You graduated the bottom of your class or something.
But there was one part where he eventually got so sick of it, like Fluff Bucket figured out like a puzzle, and then he figured out how to get through this thing, and then he did like something else that really showed up Wolfgang for like the last time, and they were trying to scale this tower because they were in a race, and Wolfgang is very petty, and even if it would have like hurt his chances of winning in the end, he was like, I'm gonna get back at this little asshole. So he shot him down out of the sky like as he was about to reach the top of the tower.
Oh,
and like
no.
they would have won. And so like his selfish like personal like agenda got in the way of him winning in the long run.
Did he ever like regret it afterwards? Did he like feel sorry about
it? He did
it?
regret it, but not because it hurt Fluff Bucket. Later we did a second campaign, and they sort of grew a bit closer as friends in that campaign. But we never finished it, so that character arc was never like finished.
Okay.
I do want to finish it, but he didn't really regret it until much later. He regretted it more because he wouldn't have been able to. It really hurt his chances of winning, and he was like, "Yeah."
He let his like momentary feelings get in the way of like long-term benefits, and then he's like, "Oh
exactly.
man, I should have been thinking in future."
Yeah, I should have been more proactive about this.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a way to be evil without killing people. Like I think people think you have to be a murder hobo, but
yeah,
you just have to be selfish.
You could just be really petty.
Yeah. Really, the only thing to kind of generalize what evil is versus what good is, being good is being selfless and being evil is being selfish. And if you are generally more selfless on average than you are selfish, then you're probably good aligned, and vice versa. And like neutral people have maybe varying qualities of both of those depending on what it is. But
depending on the situation, maybe.
Yeah. But with evil, I think it just means that like you would be willing to your selfishness can go further than say someone who's neutral, who's also selfish. Like let's do like a hypothetical here. We have a character who kind of like Wolfgang treats their group like they're, let's say, like they're sort of family and they're close to, so they kind of are okay and like them, and everybody else they sort of are just rude to. If that's as far as that goes, that could be a neutral character, because it's, you know, words, you know, aren't really, that don't really make you evil. You can say some really awful shit and still be like a good person, technically. It's more about the actions, right? If your attitude extends to, like, let's say you have no problem killing other people to protect your group, stealing from other people to benefit your group, right? Like that could be considered maybe evil if you have no scruples about who you're stealing from or who you're
Yeah.
like, obviously, like, let's say if like a little kid is trying to, maybe they really hate one person in your group for something they said or did, and this kid is trying to like literally kill somebody, but they're a kid, so their ability to do that is like non-existent.
Yeah.
And let's say you kill the kid to protect your group. That makes you evil because you should know you don't need to do that, right?
This child couldn't have really done anything.
Right. So like that, I would argue that is an evil act. Whereas if you just, did something to, like, I don't know, make sure the kid couldn't move, or like if you cast sleep or something and just got away, like there's a lot of different things you could do. If you went out of your way not to kill them, I would say that that's a neutral or possibly even a good act if you tried to like talk to them or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And
I think making villains have like connections to other people, like that doesn't make, like, somebody having like good connections with other people doesn't necessarily make them good.
Right.
Because there are a lot of affable villains that have, families and friends and stuff that they genuinely love.
Not to pull the Hitler card, but Hitler had a family. Like, a lot of people who are really just terrible, terrible people think they're great. They think they're good, and they're the good guys.
They think they're the good guys.
So, like, they are totally capable of things like love for other people. But what makes them villains is that they're also capable of great hatred and great callousness, or just carelessness, like just to not even give a shit. That's even worse. That's like, imagine like committing genocidal acts and everyone thinks it's because you hate this group, and then like they find out, oh, you just didn't care. It was like, I needed this plot of land because of this other thing, they were in the way. Instead of trying to deal with them, it's just easier to kill everybody. Like, that's evil, right?
Yeah.
That's like super duper evil.
It's like, that's like the epitome of lack of compassion.
Right. And I think where I was going with my original example is like, you've got a hypothetical character who would do evil acts to protect their group. If it's selfishly motivated, right? Well, this is my group and I'm not going to let anything touch it. Like, that could be a sign of evil. Whereas if it's like selflessly motivated, like, these are my friends and family and I want to protect them, it's like, there's no like that pettiness you said. There's no revenge there. There's no like aggression there. Like, I will kill anyone who, instead it's, I want to protect.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, if it really comes down to it, it's like the stealing bread to feed your starving family, Right.
The approach is completely different, even if the effect might end up being the same, right? Your intent, I think, is very important, as well as your action.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, the more I talk about it, the more muddled it feels like it gets, because it's just so complex.
There's a lot more like morally gray in it than people realize, the alignment chart that people realize.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is great. I love that. I love my favorite thing to do is, as a DM, is to put in like morally gray villains, so that the party's like kind of conflicted onto like whether or not they should be beating this guy up or not.
Those are the best.
They're so good. They're hard to do, but whenever you get it right, it's so good.
I have plans to use a morally gray villain. You know what? This podcast won't come out until after I've done this like 3-shot that I'm gonna do. So you can talk about it. Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit. But I have this temple that I've been working on. I actually am gonna be doing some art for it today to like finish it up. It's like 6 levels of a temple inside a volcano, and it's like this ancient thing. So like the inside of the volcano, like there are balconies on the inside of the volcano that you can go and look over the lava, sort of like in the Mount Doom of like Lord of the Rings. But it's there's like I don't want to get into too much detail because I'll just ramble. Today I've been a kind of a rambler. I'm sorry for talking over you at any point during this.
That is honestly fine. I'm the same way. I could talk about a single subject for like an hour.
Let me I gotta like cut down the pork and just get to the meat of the issue here. So
Right.
There is a guy, an Ifrit, who basically killed everybody in the temple. But the only reason he did that was because he was trapped in an Ifriti bottle that was like buried underground in some like at the end of like this this like secret passageway. There's like this room essentially that you had to like dig to get to, and one of the acolytes or one of the monks of the temple is like an evil dude who wanted more power within the order. So he discovered the location of this Ifriti bottle, stole it away, summoned the Ifriti, but there's always a chance that he might not follow your orders. But the Ifriti, who's been trapped in this bottle for thousands of years, realized that this ancient Ifriti chain, like his family heirloom, is being kept at this temple as like one of their artifacts. So he plays along saying, yes, master, I'll do what you want me to, right? And so
Yeah.
this monk has him disguise himself as a traveling fighter to challenge the head monk of the monastery to a battle, right? Well, he beats him, but then he summons like a bunch of elementals and just slaughters all the other monks. And so the betrayer monk runs away, and he's the one that contacts the party saying like, oh, this guy came in and just destroyed everything. And like, I'm the last of the elder monks, you have to help me, right? Omitting completely the part that he like summoned the dude. But his whole idea was like, I need someone to take care of this problem for me so I can get my temple back, right?
Yeah.
But while that's happening, the Ifriti now has to protect the temple from a dragon that wants to take it now that all those monks are gone.
Oh boy.
So now this Ifriti is like protecting the temple because he's trying to get to his Ifriti chain, and it's like trapped in this this chest, and he doesn't know where it's like magically enchanted, and not even his magic can break it. So he doesn't know how to remove the chest or open it or anything like that, and he's sort of at an impasse while he's trying to protect the temple from this dragon that wants to make it its new lair. And all this is going on right as like the party is going to be arriving, and
Oh wow.
they have to battle through all these elementals. And when they get to the top, the Ifriti is going to be stuck with a decision. Either the Ifriti is going to have to battle the party, and then right as the party defeat him, the dragon shows up, and they got to battle a dragon too. Or they have the option of allying with him and coming up with a plan to take out the dragon, and then the Ifriti will then allow them to take any other treasures, and they just need the Ifriti chain, and then they'll poof back to the plane of fire.
Nice. Actually, I really like that.
Right. So like, is he
very good?
Is he evil? Yeah, he killed like a bunch of dudes in this temple, but he's also like, he feels like he was wronged. He feels like this order stole from him thousands of years ago. He's exacting justice for his family, you know? So like,
yeah,
there's your gray area there. I feel like it'll be really interesting to see how because they will not be able to reason with the dragon at all. And they won't want to reason with the fucking scummy monk after they find out that he betrayed his temple, you know? The Ifriti's the only one that's sort of in the middle where it's like, maybe we could reason with him.
You gotta tell me how this pans out when it happens.
I will. I'm glad that you're interested. I'm
very interested.
I'm having so much fun making the assets for this. I'm like making art for all the different enemies they're going to fight. I'll even send you some of those assets so you can kind of look at them.
Oh, please do. That'd be great. I love hearing about other people's like the cool like quests they come up with, because they're always so like interesting. I feel like I'm okay at coming up with quest lines, but not as good as I want to be. And I don't know, other people's are always so fascinating to me.
I mean, this took me a long time to make. Like, this literally took like a year of coming up with an initial idea for it and then like refining it over time. Maybe not a year, maybe like half a year actually, but still 6 months to come up with a 2-shot, you know, is a long time.
It's gonna be a really good 2-shot though, probably.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope, like, you were talking about how combat bogs things down, so I'm hoping that I can have enough stuff in there that doesn't bog things down. Speaking of which, combat versus role-playing. Obviously, you're definitely more into the role-playing aspects. I think most of the
don't get me wrong. I love combat. It can be a lot of fun, but what I hate is just when it's, all right, your turn. All right, I hit them. Okay, this much damage. All right, your turn. I hit them. This much damage. Like, I love talking during combat with like the other members of the party or the villain. And I love using like stuff in very creative ways and describing exactly how I attack, you know? I think that's a lot of fun.
I think it's important to remember that it's 3-dimensional. Like, it's not
Hmm.
just a flat square room every time. It shouldn't ever just be that every combat. You need to have obstacles, different levels of like incline, maybe like a someone's on top of a statue. So if you want to hit them, you either have to use range attacks or you have to climb up the statue and try and fight them with swords while holding onto the statue or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I think that's so fun. Like,
It's way more
especially
interesting.
if you role play through it.
Or like make the combat not just a combat. Give a motivation for the enemies or give a motivation for the like if you have a really good party and let's like take your good aligned party of like lawful good people and then run them afoul of the law. Have like guards trying to capture them so they can't kill anybody, otherwise they're playing into the hands of whoever framed them, right? That's fun.
Hmm.
That's so fun because
Ooh,
now
yeah.
your combat isn't just, oh, defeat the goblins. It's, oh shit, we have to just escape from the guards and not kill anybody. And like that's way more
Yeah.
complicated.
I like that.
That stuff's like, I mean, because there's so many different things you can do. You can make it you can give them obstacles, like maybe take like someone who's transporting like a bunch of barrels of like chum, like fish chum in a fishing village or something. And if like you're fighting out in the open, you're fighting these bandits, the buckets of chum get knocked over and now there's this slick, oily, fishy, gross stuff all over the street. So everything's difficult terrain. It's like a grease spell over the whole street. So now everybody's slipping and sliding. Like you can do stuff like that that just makes it way more interesting and funny because then everybody's got to make dexterity checks not to fall on their ass, right?
Oh man, you're really giving me some memories right now.
Oh,
Oh
let's hear
man.
it. Let's hear it.
So I mentioned them earlier. I mentioned this party earlier, Freak and Kai. It was that same party, and they were getting to one of the big bad guys. Um, and this is essentially how the fight went. They walk in. This guy is meant to be. He's very strong. He's very quite strong. He would have been a very hard fight if honestly kind of forgot about stunning strike. Um, and the monk in the party just kind of went and hit him in the face once, and he fell on his, he fell on the floor, and then he was incapacitated, so they just wailed on him. And then what the other one was a wild mage, so he cast a spell, and his wild magic was triggered, and he cast grease with that spell, so everything was slick on the floor.
Oh,
He was okay because he could do stuff like he had range spells, so
right.
he didn't really have to move. And then we have the monk, who's a monk,
Oh
and
no.
he had so much movement speed that the grease almost didn't matter. um,
He just sliding
and
into
stunning
walls
strike.
and bouncing off stuff. Like, this is fun.
Yes, he was supposed to be like a hard boss, and he was just entirely incapacitated for most of the fight.
This is the Horde of the Dragon Queen, right?
No, this is a different one. This
Oh,
is the one
okay.
I made, like a homebrew
Oh,
campaign.
that's right. That's right. Okay. Because,
Oh, and then they set the grease on fire and then left, and then the castle burned down, and now they're outlaws. But
that's a way to end it. Nice.
yeah, just as a side note.
The first ever 5e campaign I played was actually Horde of the Dragon Queen. I just remembered.
Really?
Yeah, and I was playing
Was
a
it? Is
war.
it really as bad as everybody says it is?
Well, we were just testing it out, and it's a lot of combat, but we like mechanics in our group. We're very like we're not min maxers, I'd say, but we like making interesting, cool mechanical builds that can do fun stuff in combat. So
Yeah.
what we'll do is like we'll try and find combinations of different things. And since this was our first time playing 5e, we were all trying out new classes and like just trying to see how things work. So we liked having all this combat. But we had been playing for maybe 3 or 4 months, and we were getting to the end of this like adventure, and we got to like there's this basically this cult leader, this yeah, I guess he's like some sort of archmage who was trying to summon uh Tiamat or something like that, and we
That
ended
sounds
up
about right.
yeah, and we ended up getting into like the chamber, and the bard casts hypnotic pattern, and the wizard fails, and he's just by himself and has no other like minions. So we just like he's incapacitated for like an entire minute because the wizard couldn't do anything. So we just like surrounded him and just beat the shit out of him and killed him really fast. And the DM was like really like not happy about it, and he's just like, well, I had this whole epic battle plan, but I guess it's over now. And I'm like, like, we're still learning. Like, we didn't know that spell was going to be so good. But also,
Yeah.
like, if, like, I guess for future reference, if anyone's faced with that sort of problem where you've made a boss and, like, the party's just super easily gonna take care of it with something like it. Now, I think if it's really clever, if it's wild magic or something that's completely outside your control, like, that's okay. It's not a big deal to, like, just let the party have this really fun win.
Yeah.
But if it's, like, kind of a letdown in that sense, the way that I described, you can always give your boss a legendary resistance,
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't normally get it, they're a boss. You should give them that, and maybe give them a legendary action too, so they can do more stuff. Like, you are the ultimate arbiter of what you put out. You don't have to do rules as written for literally everything. You can tweak bosses to make them more powerful for, like, a fight. Like, especially if it's one creature against the whole party, you got to give them, like, some extra edge,
Some
so that
buff, yeah.
yeah, so that they can, like, hold their own. Otherwise, the party will end up just
Otherwise, it's a
taking them out.
beatdown.
Yeah. Unless, of course, the CR is so high that it won't matter. But
My players, they were taking out all my bosses and enemies so easily that they're like, Madi, please just fudge the numbers.
right.
Like, they asked me, just wait, please.
Like, even Strahd from Curse of Strahd has, like, legendary actions and resistances. Because once you get to, like, level 9, you're a bunch of level 9 characters against the Vampire Lord. Like, even if he's a Vampire Lord, you're all level 9. You don't even need the treasures that you find in the world to necessarily beat him. Like, you don't even need to destroy... there's, like, a weakness that he has. And you don't even need to deal with that if you're all level 9 and just wail on the guy. But the way that they have the game written is like, well, all right, yeah, so Strahd's just one guy, so make it so that it's not just one guy. Give him layer actions, give him legendary resistance, give him legendary actions, and then give him, like, minions or something to help him out. Like, make it more interesting, give him an edge, make it hard for the players, because if the players do end up failing, it'll still be, like, this really epic battle. And if the players win, you want them to feel like they really worked to earn it,
Yeah.
You don't want it to be anticlimactic, especially for a game like Curse of Strahd, or like any sort of campaign that's been going for a long time and you've been building up towards this villain. You got to make sure that battle's going to be tough.
Man, then the last campaign, one of the only ones I ever, like, finished, with the monk and the same one I was talking about earlier with the grease and the fire. At the final, like, last big boss, there wasn't even a fight. Like, this guy was essentially a minor god, and they figured out a way to beat him without even fighting him. And I was gonna have him come back because it seemed anticlimactic. And the reason I'm being very vague is because I do want to make a video about this eventually, because it was one of the funniest things I've ever been a part of. But it was so creative and funny and just against the odds that I was like, this has to be how the campaign ends. If it doesn't end like this, how am I gonna beat this?
Yeah.
I always say, if it's fun, just let it be. Like, if everybody's having a good time, I think even if it was a little bit anticlimactic, if it was fun, I say just leave it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about a balance between dangerous, precarious situations and, like, really fun situations, and you got to have both, because if it's just like a grind fest of just everything's like 2 or 3 CR levels higher than your party all the time, like, you're just gonna feel like the world is out to get you, and you're not gonna feel like you're growing, even though you are, like, you're leveling up and getting more powerful, but everything else is scaling at the same rate, so, like, you don't feel more powerful. And that's not, you don't want that. You definitely want to make sure that your players feel more powerful around, like, people that they've kind of grown past, right? So maybe in the beginning, guards are actually a very real threat to them, but, like, once they get to level 7 or something, guards are kind of just whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And so you should allow them to feel like if they're going to be more murder hobo-y or chaotic, I guess, like let them have the moments where they just decimate guards and just let like people be surprised, like, oh my God, they're so powerful. Like it feels good as a player because then you know, like, yes, I finally reached this point. But then you can be like, well, now you're a bigger threat, so now bigger threats are going to come for you, right? So like that's okay too. You can scale it up in a sensible way without just making everything hard just because, well, it's got to be balanced. Like, you know, let people do crazy fun stuff sometimes. Let them have unexpected victories if they're clever about it, or if the dice gods are just in your favor and you're getting nat 20s or something, or your bad guy just whiffs completely, you know? I mean, those are some of the best stories.
Yeah, they're really good. I can, after we're done recording, I can like tell you about it if you want.
Speaking of which, I think we're kind of reaching the end of our little podcast here.
Oh, all right. Are we? Wow, that was fast.
Yeah. I think I talked a little bit too much on this one, so I would love to have a extended conversation with you after the fact.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is MadiCarl. MadiCarl, can you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on YouTube at MadiCarl. Space in between. I believe I'm not gonna lie, not super great with my social media stuff, but I believe my Twitter is MadiCarl or Madi the Carl.
It's Madi the Carl, actually.
Let me go look. It is? Okay, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, so Twitter, Madi the Carl, MadiCarl on DeviantArt, and I think also on Instagram.
That's right.
So that's all the places that I do stuff.
Check her out, guys. She's an amazing animator and artist and D&D nerd. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been super fun.